You guys ever seen the Green Mile when that big dude, Michael Clark Duncan, but I forget. It's funny because I remember his name, but I don't remember his character's name. But he had one line where he was like, I'm tired, boss," and that's kind of how I feel because every day, and maybe I have to change up my routine. Is every day I see politicians just making new policies, trying to get it passed into law, and the Supreme Court, it eventually goes there. They have to shut it down because it's labeled unconstitutional. But what happens when they don't? And they say, oh, yeah, censorship is, it's protected, but not protected there or in this case or whatever. What are we going to do there? Like, people don't know history? Really? Like, if there's one sure thing, like, if the power is there, it's going to be used. And it's going to be used against you and your family, your kids. And people are still voting for that. It took me a long time to say Democrats because I'm not a believer in groupthink at all. But if 100% of them 100% of the time vote for censorship and tell me that, you know what, there's a book in seventh grade and it's called Genderqueer, and it shows one boy sucking another boy's dick, and it goes on to say how good it feels and how to do it. um, People like me are now instead of saying, yeah, that's messed up, people are Democrats call people like me book banners. Oh, it's just tiring having to defend yourself against complete morons all the time. And if you vote Democrat in 2023, you're a fucking moron. I mean, and I can give concrete examples. The mandates. What happened to my body, my choice? And everything that's coming out now is just like, why even debate it? Like, if you don't know that you were completely lied to about everything, I don't think you're smart enough to debate people. Really. Because there's so much data, information, studies, reports that just shows that they lied about everything. They lied about masks. They lied about PCR tests. They you could get into a head-on car collision, have your head chopped off, but if during the autopsy they found out you had COVID death. 99% of people who went on ventilators died. That doesn't bother you? That remdesivir that our government recommended as treatment kills people? Like, those are facts. And it's just people are still voting for them. Like, I can understand, like, if you vote Democrat in 2008 or something. I did, because to me it looked like it was just, you know big government, which is Democrats, versus small government, which is Republicans, and the social safety net, and we could all disagree about that. But if you're going to tell me that one kid sucking another kid's dick, and then a graphic description of it, you're going to tell me that's educational for seventh graders, I'm going to tell you to fuck off and get off my property. Get away from me, you pedophile. I'm not gonna debate that shit with people. And I actually saw that on Facebook. Someone I'm quote unquote friends with, and I'm sure she's a good person. You know, she fell for a hook, line, and sinker about how quote unquote Republicans, parents, they want to ban books. You know, what's freedom about that? And I told her about, just one of the many books that are just straight up pornography. I told her about genderqueer and what it depicted, and she didn't believe me. So I showed her a picture of one boy sucking another boy's dick. And then like a week or two later, she's posting some other dumb Democrat shit. And it's just like, if they're going to lie about that, don't you want to look into it? And I think that's what's happening to a lot of Republicans right now. I don't consider myself either. I consider myself an independent, but I would never, ever vote for Democrats because I'm not a racist. Equity. Look up the like, you are literally, you're taking something away from people or a person, whatever, and you're giving it to somebody else based on their skin color. Not whether or not they're poor, not whether or not they really need it, not whether it's going to really help them out. Are you black? Are you a person of color? Then you qualify. Like, the engineer I worked with, that I used to work with, always used to tell me shit in, shit out. And if you start with shit, you're going to end up with shit. And it's just, that's equity. Like if you think that it was racist that to treat people based on their skin color differently, if it was wrong back then, it's wrong now. And you have Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and these limited intellectuals just using the word equity. Like somehow it's not racist. That's so weird. It's like what's that saying? Putting lipstick on a pig. It's like, you can call it whatever you want, but if you're going to actively treat someone differently solely based on their skin color, you're a racist. And I'll say that to anybody who votes Democrat. I'll say it right to their face. Not because I want to be mean, just because it's true. It's not something you do. A rising tide lifts all boats. If you're poor and you're struggling, I don't care what color you are. It definitely shouldn't matter with taxpayer funded programs, because people of all different colors contribute to that. So how can you take money that, just for this example, that I contributed to, and take that and then give it to somebody else based solely on their skin color? Why don't you just make it available to anyone who fits the criteria, who needs it? Are you poor? Are you disabled? Are you having trouble paying your bills? Okay, we're going to help you. But right now, it's like, are you poor? Are you having trouble paying your bills? We'll help you. But only if you're black, or Mexican, or a person of color. Like, have I given enough examples to show the absolute stupidity of that, and that it is indeed racist, and that if you go by that, you might not. I'm assuming that most people, they think they're doing the right thing, but you have to wake up, because if you keep voting for people who are going to take things away from me, if you keep voting, and I'm talking about not only money, I'm talking about rights, I'm talking about liberty. Like we're a democratic republic. Look up what that means. Democracy is just, it's mob rule. It's like if 51 people vote that it's okay to rape your daughter or to kill your son, hey, that's democracy in action. Where a republic recognizes your rights, that you're innocent until proven guilty, that you have a right to a trial by your peers, you know? And that's just, scratching the surface. But we're not a democracy. And yet, people want to keep saying that in positions of power. They say, we're a democracy. Like, even our president, even, our vice president, they'll all say that. We're a democracy. And they know that we're not. But they want to get people into the habit of, oh, we're a democracy. Yeah, so mob rules. Like, no. And that's how you know you're being lied to. Is that the President of the United States is saying we're a democracy when he knows that we're not. You also know that you're completely being lied to. Is when he told everybody, he got in front of the podium, broadcast the message out to all of America that the quote unquote vaccine, and it's not a vaccine, stops the spread. I mean, has anyone really just thought about that? Because Pfizer never tested it to stop the spread. In fact, they knew that it didn't stop the spread because their own data said that. So there's only one alternative left, is that Joe Biden knew, Kamala Harris knew, Rochelle Walensky, formerly from the CDC, knew, the World Health Organization knew, and yet he got up there and he completely lied about that. How could you vote for him? How is it possible that he's going to lie about something so important, so fundamental to your family's safety, that you would vote for him? Just like Gavin Newsom, I don't understand how anybody could vote for him. At the height of the pandemic, all of the draconian laws and mandates that he put in for Californians, he ignored them. Sent his son to a private school. Now he's not ignoring the orders, but he has the money to do that. But he had dinner at the most expensive restaurant in California with his entire health cabinet, without masks, eating at a restaurant. Things you couldn't do. How is that not immoral? How is that not so unethical that you're like, I can't vote for this guy? Like, I won't vote Republican, you could say that, but I'm going to primary him. I will not, just on principle, vote for him. And that's very interesting, because it's happening right now. You see a lot of infighting with Republicans, because you see a lot of the people saying These aren't Republicans, they're rhinos, which means they are just establishment politicians who they're just on the other side. They're just there for conservative people, and they're going to lie to them. And a lot of Republicans, from what I see, they're not having it. They're primarying people. There's a lot of dissent in the Republican Party. There's none in the Democratic Party right now. It's like you see all of these horrible, immoral, unethical things that the Democratic Party is doing currently right now. And people are so brainwashed, they're saying, nope, gonna vote Democrat because it's better than a Republican. Until you look at what they're voting for and what they're doing to your kids. Does anyone here think that a 14-year-old can make a decision as to chop off their breasts and have a complete hysterectomy before puberty? I mean, you don't have to have an opinion. You just look at the literature, the scientific literature that says 9 out of 10 people with body dysmorphia will figure it out before they hit puberty. 80% or 8 people, they're like, oh, I'm gay. The remaining 1 is, I'm a heterosexual, probably on the whatever end. And there's one person left that really is still questioning their body. And you're telling me that before puberty, you are going to cut off someone's penis and balls, their breasts, and they can't get a tan because they're not old enough to make that decision. They can't get a tattoo. They're not old enough to make that decision. Can someone please explain to me how somebody who hasn't hit puberty yet can make that decision? It's an impossibility. You cannot make that decision. That's why I get so tired, because it's like I have to debate people about that. Like it should be common sense. Should be 2 + 2 is 4. Wait till after puberty, at the very least. And all of these kids who would have just turned out probably gay, which is completely fine. Even if you decide that you're transgender, that's completely fine too. But to take that choice away before they even experience puberty, experience what it's like, it's just evil. So, my advice to you, not that you need advice from me, is really look at what you're voting for. Because I don't know how long it's going to take, but we are quickly on the road to losing all of our rights and our freedoms.